Hello everyone, it's a great pleasure to introduce to you today the Master Program of Biology. My name is Dennis Klaas and I'm the Director of Education. So biology is really a central discipline and really aimed at solving some big global challenges such as global warming and climate change. And students interested in in these kind of topics are really welcome to join our great program. Because we have a very diverse range of topics that we study in biology, we're also very pleased that our education program is actually done by 3 different institutes. So in addition to our own institute, the Institute of Biology, we're also very happy that the Institute of Environmental Sciences and also Naturalis Biodiversity Center is involved in our teaching program. In addition, we have close interactions with other stakeholders, such as the Faculty of Science, to which also the IBL belongs, the Leiden University Medical Center, so the hospital, where a lot of research is happening around, for instance, antimicrobial resistance and diseases in humans, for instance. But also other institutes, such as the Netherlands Institute of Ecology, and also all kinds of research institute and companies, either in the Netherlands or even abroad. So maybe the question is, why do you want to study biology in Leiden? So I think our program offers a very wide range of topics. As I said, we study the principles underlying global warming and what that does to, for instance, evolution of species and ecosystem functioning, but also development of modern vaccines such as those that are targeting COVID, for instance, which we all have learned to know in the past couple of years. So we have a very interdisciplinary and international environment. And I think one of the key things that really students appreciate in our program is the wide range of research that you can actually do within the program. So up to 90 EC of the whole program, which is about 1.5 years, you can spend actually doing research in a stimulating and creative research environment. And that's really unique, I think. Furthermore, Leiden has really state-of-the-art facilities such as the Netherlands Center for Electron Nanoscopy, where you can look at unprecedented level inside biological cells, for instance. Furthermore, I think Naturalis, which most people in the Netherlands at least know as a museum, is also very valuable to our education program. So they have over 40 million specimens in their collection, which is great for studying evolutionary questions, for instance, in biology. And furthermore, we have a living lab on the campus where all kinds of ecotoxicological studies are being performed, which is very close here also on the Leiden Bioscience Park, which is another great thing to mention in this context. Next slide, please. So the Leiden Bioscience Park is really the place where biology is located, and encompasses over 200 little companies that are often established by students after doing their internship projects. So really entrepreneurship is also a key thing that we really stimulate within the biology program. So the biology program entails 4 different research specializations, which I will briefly introduce to you. So we have biodiversity and sustainability, which is coordinated by Peter van Bodegom. We have evolutionary biology, coordinated by Maurijn van der Zee. We have molecular, cellular, and organismal biology, which is coordinated by Marcel Schaaf. And then we have molecular genetics and biotechnology, which is coordinated by myself. And I will briefly discuss these different specializations in the next few slides. But in addition to these research specializations, we have also combined master specializations, where you basically do a combination of a research master program, only 1 year of that program basically, and a non-research master specialization. So basically in the first year you do either obligatory or elective courses, in total 24 EC, combined with an internship of 36 EC. And you've got quite some freedom in the kind of courses you're going to choose there. The second year though, you're going to specialize in one of the 3 different specializations there, which is either education, where you can actually get your first degree teacher diploma, science, communication, and society, or business studies. And the latter is, for instance, for students that are really interested in entrepreneurship and developing ending up in a company. So also these combined master specializations have coordinators, which I'd like to introduce to you. So for the education program, this is Annemarie Thomassen from the ICLON, an education institute. Science Communication and Society is coordinated by Jonica Smeets, together with Anne Land. And finally, Business Studies is coordinated by Simka Jong. And also on the website of Leiden University, you can get much more information what these programs really entail for you. All right, what I would like to do now is to quickly give you an overview of the 4 different research specializations that we have. And the first one I would like to discuss is biodiversity and sustainability. And this program is really aimed at students that are interested in global challenges that we have to face and that we face at the moment, such as the climate change accompanying with or caused by global warming, and what that basically does, for instance, to speciation and the functioning of ecosystems, and also the loss of biodiversity. So why do you want to study this in Leiden? So I think Leiden has a unique combination of biodiversity knowledge and also a lot of expertise on fundamental ecological processes. So we're really at the top of this research field. And furthermore, we have state-of-the-art molecular and big data tools for analysis of biodiversity and also the functioning of ecosystem, and to basically study really important questions that underlie, for instance, changes in climate, but also quantifying loss of biodiversity, and also questions like how much biodiversity do we actually need to have a healthy ecosystem? And is every change in biodiversity and the invasion of foreign species in an ecosystem, is that actually a good or a bad thing? So these kind of research questions are really addressed in this fascinating master program. And furthermore, I think we have cutting-edge research infrastructure, such as the Living Lab, which you can see here on this slide, which is run by Martina Vijver from Institute of Environmental Sciences, where they basically study the effect of nanomaterials in an ecosystem, but really in the environment, so really outside, so not in a lab setting. So the kind of research that is being done in this master program is, for instance, studying how anthropogenic interference of natural systems affects, for instance, living and life in the sea. So as you know, we have an increase in fishing, we have an increase in pile diving, ship trafficking in oceans, and this actually creates a lot of noise in the environment. And one of the researchers in our institute is really focusing on, well, what does this noise actually do to biodiversity and ecosystem functioning in the sea? And so in a recent paper in Science, actually, they give a nice overview and discuss what the effects of this anthropogenic interference in ocean life actually does to wildlife. So this is a kind of research that students are involved in, and which is really exciting, I think. The second master I'd like to discuss is evolutionary biology. And this is basically studying the principles governing the origin and extinction of species. And this is also very related and timely given the big problems that we have with global warming, for instance. So how does temperature rise lead to perhaps new species evolving, or their adaptation that eventually leads to the formation of new species? And how do these species actually thrive in a whole ecosystem? So I think Leiden has a unique opportunity to study these kind of questions, and I'd like to highlight 2 things. So I think what makes Leiden unique is that we study evolutionary biology at all different levels. So at the level of DNA up to the level of a whole ecosystem and the ecology happening in such an ecosystem. And secondly, I think what is really unique is, of course, the unique collections that are present at Naturalis, but also the National Herbarium and the Hortus. So as I mentioned before, Naturalis has over 40 million species in their collection, and that is unprecedented, I think, in the whole world almost. So this really makes Leiden very attractive to study evolutionary biology. So also in this field, there's a lot of research going on, and one of the examples I'd like to highlight is one carried out by Menno Schildhuizen, who studies basically what the effects of urbanization are on the functioning of, for instance, animals and plants in cities. So we know that urbanization increases, you get all kinds of new habitats for organisms to live, and it turns out that actually organisms are really flexible and quite easily adapt to these new urban systems. Of course, previous inhabitants of these environments kind of disappear, but you get the evolution of new species. And there's actually a very nice book appearing that has appeared recently from Menno about Darwin Comes to Town, where he discusses what the effects are of, for instance, urbanization on wildlife and the development of wildlife in cities. And also the research done underlying these kind of publications is actually done by master students, amongst others. So the third specialization I'd like to introduce is molecular, cellular, and organismal biology. And this program is really focusing on the molecular mechanisms underlying healthy and diseased animals, organisms in more broad sense, also plants. And what makes this program unique is that this is also performed at different organizational levels. So basically in the program you look at all the levels ranging from the molecules underlying a certain behavior up to the change in behavior of these organisms. So behavioral biology is also an important aspect of this program. As I mentioned, the program is looking at the molecular mechanisms underlying health and disease, but also how organisms respond to all kinds of environmental influences. And for this we use often model systems such as zebrafish, which are really popular in Leiden, which are really a great model to study all kinds of diseases, for instance, that are also present in humans. Also here research is pretty fascinating, I would say, and one of the things I'd like to highlight is the discovery of a gene that was done quite recently by the plant group led by Remco Offringa, where they discovered a gene that is actually really important for longevity in plants. So actually, if you make more of this protein that is from this gene, you basically see that plants that normally would die after flowering have another round of growth basically possible. And this has, of course, a lot of potential also for solving maybe things like food problems and the rise of the number of people on the planet. So if you can make plants create more biomass after their flowering, that would be really useful to study. And this is something that has been discovered quite recently within the context of this master specialization. So the last specialization I'd like to mention is molecular genetics and biotechnology. And in this program, basically molecular genetics is used to solve all kinds of biotechnological problems. And so this program is really operating at the interface of fundamental and applied sciences, and also links tightly to the Bioscience Park, which I already mentioned. So a lot of companies around the Institute of Biology, around the location where a lot of the master program is happening, are actually derived from research that is carried out at the Institute of Biology. And also this offers a great opportunity for students to do actually internships, for instance, in such companies. An example of the research that is carried out, we're all aware that antimicrobial resistance is rising, and a large part of the research carried out, for instance, in this program, is aimed at finding new molecules that can combat devastating pathogens, for instance, that become multi-resistant. And very recently, for the first time, artificial intelligence was actually used to help to create and to search for new antibiotics. And this is, of course, urgently needed at this moment. So also here, modern technologies such as machine learning and artificial intelligence are being part and incorporated in this program. Okay, so now taking a step back and looking more how is the program structured. So the program is structured around a theoretical part and an internship part. So the theoretical part entails at least 30 EC, consisting of compulsory courses. So we have 3 compulsory courses where you get introduced to the respective master program, a statistics course, because we think that every student should have a basic level of statistics, because that is becoming more and more important in biological sciences to really underlie statements that are made, and genomic architecture. So these 3 courses are compulsory for all students that start in a research master. And then we have a whole list of compulsory or elective courses that you can follow, and that depends a bit on the specialization. So if we look at this table, we see on the top all kinds of specializations, the 4 specializations that we have, and the different courses that are offered in the program. But for the up-to-date list, I really refer to the website of Leiden University, because that has the latest information. The second part of your master program is the research projects. As I mentioned, you can do between 60 and up to 90 EC of research projects. And typically this is done by doing 2 research projects. One is going to be internal, and internal means within IBL, but also in the associated research institutes that are involved in our teaching programs, such as the Institute of Environmental Sciences or Naturalis, but also NEO or the LEMC count towards an internal internship. Then we have also external internships, which can be at other universities in the Netherlands or even worldwide. And the way to get into these external internships is, of course, by looking yourself, but often this is also happening via your first supervisor internally, via the network of connections that he or she may have. If you want to go abroad, it's good to do that through scientific staff, as I mentioned, but also to take or to make contact with the education office to see what kind of grants are possible to allow you to actually go abroad, because of course going abroad costs quite some money, but we have some travel awards to accommodate that. Okay, so an example of these external research institutes, I mentioned already the universities abroad, but for instance also the Netherlands Cancer Institute is a research institute where students end up doing their internship. All kinds of companies, of course, for those interested in more the business side of their study, but also plant biotech companies. So Rijkswaan and Enza Seeds, which are companies that develop seeds for all kinds of crops. They have a lot of opportunities for internships to work with them on developing new products. But also governmental organization and also projects related to conservation. So these are the kind of institutes and universities and all kinds of companies you can actually go to for doing your internship. All right, so finally I'd like to mention how you are admitted to the Master Biology program. So there's direct admission for students with a bachelor degree in biology, either from Leiden University or any other university in the Netherlands. And basically all other students have to apply for admission. And the procedure to do so is present and found on the website that you can see over here. So www.mastersinleiden.nl. All right, so this brings me to the end of the presentation. And if there are further questions concerning the program, I would like to direct you to the Master Student Counselor, Jeroen Appelboom. His email address is shown below. And there's also more information via any of the social media channels that we have, which you can see on the right side of the screen. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and we hope to see you, of course, in Leiden.